Hey guys, welcome back to Play on Footy. It's been a while. Yeah, I had a couple of things come up last week, so I do apologise for not doing the roundup last week. But yeah, what a week of footy, I must say. Obviously, my Eagles didn't do too well this Sunday, so I don't really want to talk about that too much. But for other teams, in particular, St Kilda Saints winning over Power. I think that was a great win by them. I think it definitely shows not Gary Lyon, Ross Lyon is heading in the right direction with his boys. And you know what? They've got a really exciting brand of footy. They move it quite well. Although Port Power probably aren't in the best position at the moment. They did have Butters come back in this game, but we'll touch on that a bit later. The other one was Melbourne. Melbourne, yeah, just showing that they're running out of puff. Obviously, they had the injured star, Lindsay out. But yeah, overall, they just didn't really show much in this game against Geelong, which we'll touch on a bit later as well. And obviously the buys. So yeah, the Hawks and the Bombers had the buy this round. But let's get into the first game that happened on Thursday, 3rd of April. It's this one here. So yeah, Collingwood coming up against Carlton. It was a really interesting game, to be honest with you. Obviously, Carlton didn't have their big guy Mackay, big full forward. But yeah, overall, Walsh dominated 137 AFL fantasy. Darcy Cameron showing why he's one of the, I think, second best rucks going around in the AFL fantasy at the moment, just behind TDK. Did really well there. And then you got Sam Doherty, who, despite everything that has gone through with Sam and his ACL, he's showing that he's still got a bit of fight left in him. George Hewitt, another ton. I think that's his fourth consecutive ton this season. Again, just amazing pick if you got him. But yeah, he's just done really well. Lockie Schultz, 107 AFL fantasy, 2 goals, one behind. He won the medal at the end of the game. I must admit I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, but hey, I wasn't the one voting. Time on ground, 84%. So yeah, really interesting choice there. Nick Dacos got the tag, unfortunately. So yeah, where is he? Numbers 35, 76 AFL fantasy. I think he got one behind, 27 touches still though, in a supposedly bad game, but I thought he was around the ball quite well. There were moments in this where I think Carlton weren't able to finish off their work, and their transitions inside forward 50, obviously without Mackay, was a bit of a challenge that I noticed. But overall, I think the Collingwood Magpies, they were just more polished, and I think what happened was Harry Perryman definitely had a stint in the middle, and I think that really helped with their ball movement, getting into the likes of Still side bottom, moving out of that centre square to the half forward flank. Obviously, look, Lockie Schultz was really dangerous, but also Darcy Cameron just around the ground. His ruck work was really phenomenal. But the way he covers the ground is for a big man. I've always been a big fan of Darcy Cameron, I must admit. So that was on the Thursday night, a long time ago now, as I am recording this on Sunday. But, it's worth noting that, Collingwood, they're doing quite well at the moment. Obviously they had that bit of a hiccup in the first round. But I think, they're playing a interesting style of footy. Obviously Dan Houston has a bit of that MRO trouble. I think he had a bump on, I can't remember who it was exactly, but he's probably going to be looked at the MRO this week. So it'd be interesting to see if he gets a too much ban from Michael Christensen, a former Magpie adjudicating it. So I don't know how that's going to go back in time for Anzac Day apparently. But yeah, overall, if I'm a Collingwood supporter, which I'm not, but if I was, I would be just happy with the win against our arch rivals Collingwood, to be honest. So there's that one. And then the Friday, April 4th, this game was, yeah, again, interesting. The Geelong Cats just absolutely ran rampant against the Melbourne Demons. It wasn't really one that I could say, if I was a Melbourne supporter, I'd be happy about. Obviously, Clayton Oliver's really stepped it up, and I think for him personally, he has to, because he needs to get better or be better than he was previously, because he, wants to go down the farm, at Geelong. He wants to be with his mate Reece Stanley, who was playing in this game, funnily enough. But yeah, he racked up 104 AFL fantasy, 30 touches, mind you, and a behind. But overall, Bailey Smith just smashing it again this season, 127 AFL fantasy, fantastic. Lawson Humphries looked really dangerous off half back. between him and Tom Stewart, you can't go wrong. And look, I think most teams would be putting time and energy into Max Holmes, but when you've got such an array of great, nifty, crafty midfielders, half forwards, half backs, like Geelong do, the likes of Ollie Dempsey, Brian Myers, Lawson Humphries, obviously one. Even Zach Guthrie in this game was just a bit of a lone wolf with his 149 AFL fantasy. It's just a hard one to counter. Connor O'Sullivan, another like underdog. I think he started at 300k in AFL fantasy. Now he's, I think, going to be pushing nearly 500, but 96 AFL fantasy is fantastic. Max Gawn had a bit of a quieter one, but he could only do what he could do in this game. He had 85% time on ground as well. So, for someone who's 34 years old, that's pretty phenomenal. Patrick Dangerfield, same. 3 goals, 20 disposals. Thank you very much. But yeah, overall, Kasai Pickett, first game back in a while, 3 behinds. I think he, be wanting to see where his mindset's at. Is he already at Frio? I don't know. Sam De Koning was an interesting one. AFL 84, not bad, not terrible. But he was splitting it with Reece Stanley, who got a 78 and a goal. Christian Petracca, he was very, very frustrated. Frustrated scenes after this game by Christian Petracca. He'd be pissed off. He'd be disappointed. He's got to lay in his bed. He's made his bed. He's got to lay in his bed now. And yeah, I don't think he's happy right now. 0-4 is the worst start to a season for Melbourne since 2013, I want to say. So pretty bad. Max Holmes obviously got the tag 68 AFL fantasy. Overall, there was no real other standouts in my opinion. Jack Henderson plays all right for a SPP player signing. Like, I think he's done really well. So far, Harvey Langford, 36, okay. Trent Rivers, not great at all. To be honest, probably a lot less. And Charlie Spargo was great the other week, and then got a -1 in this game. So, yeah, look, from week to week, different player movements and structures from coaches definitely are infiltrated. And that was definitely one there. But overall, I'd be happy with that for a cat. If I was a Cats fan at home, can't go wrong. Suns versus Adelaide. This game is contentious. I watched one quarter of this game and I had literally seen enough. And what I mean by that is it was just awful umpiring. Terrible hashtag sports bet. Seriously, I'm dismayed. And a lot of Adelaide Crows fans out there would have been absolutely pissed off, like literally, by some of the calls there. I think it was like 14 free kicks more the Suns got throughout this game than the Adelaide Crows. And in the dying last 2 minutes, Isaac Rankin took a mark, and then it spilled out. And yeah, it was called, play on. Didn't get awarded the mark, and Isaac Rankin went on to score on 69 AFL fantasy. And yeah, obviously that could have tied up the game, or sorry, not tied up the game, but put Adelaide in front. Wasn't the case. So Jordan Dawson killing it again, 118 AFL fantasy. James Peatling, 112, fantastic. Riley Thilthorpe is right up there with Sam Darcy this year as one of the best forwards. In my humble opinion, I think he's doing really well. I think he's doing some amazing things. But yeah, he's just one of those players that is massive. He's like a JK, but like even bigger. Josh Kennedy, he's a fantastic player. I think he's really exciting. I can't wait to see more of him. It's only, we're only 4 rounds in. It's fantastic to see. 5 goals, 2 from him, the big man. Sam Flanders is doing what for Sam Flanders does. Amazing. 347 meters gained. Not bad at all. Isaac Cumming, the new recruit from the Giants, is doing really well. Fitting right into the Crows there. Jake Saligo, 92. Had a bit of a tag, I reckon, a bit early. He halfway through the game, he just wasn't really finding the pill much, and then the second half, he really came into his own. Jared Witt's having another great year. He's an outstanding ruckman, such a big presence on the ground, and leads by example. Too. Taylor Walker, 4 goals, 1. Thank you for coming. That's why he's still playing. Can obviously he's still got it. John Noble from the Collingwood Magpies, 82 AFL fantasy, 85% time on ground. Matty Rao, 74. Not as strong as last week's performance, but still up there. And then, yeah, the 69 from Isaac Rankin. Gave away 5 free kicks, I think in the last quarter, I want to say. But yeah, that's all she wrote. But yeah, overall, I think it was a tightly fought contest. And I think these two teams are going to be definitely ones to watch in September. Watch this space. Um, but very exciting. Richmond, Lions, can't go wrong there. I think Richmond showed a lot more fight than the Eagles have in the last 4 years so far in season 2025. I think for me, that's concerning, especially with their list and where they're at. They're a much younger team, or about the same, but it's frustrating that the Tigers do have a lot more fight. But in saying that, they've got some good mids: Jacob Hopper and Tim Taranto, Jaden Short, Sam Layla is amazing. 2 goals, one. I mean, that is phenomenal. Toby Nankervis is a great ruckman, something that the Eagles are lacking. But overall, you've got Hugh McCluggage, Josh Dunkley, Lockie Neal, Will Ashcroft, even Jasper Fletcher had a great game, and Cam Rayner for the Lions, Oscar McInerney as well, and Levi Ashcroft, first year player, 82 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 72% time on ground. That's phenomenal. So they're doing some things right. The Richmond Tigers to obviously still score quite well. It'd be concerning for Brisbane Lions, who allowed that to happen defensively. And there were some times in the second quarter where the Lions just forgot their structure, and it was a bit embarrassing, to be honest, because Richmond were just onto it. They were able to pounce and capitalize going forward. Um, but overall, if I'm a Lions fan, yep, another win at the MCG, happy days. But if I'm a Richmond fan, I'd be even though we lost, a pretty good effort by the boys there. Pretty good effort. I think they're in the right space. A lot better space than North, 52 to 117 against the Sydney Swans, and it was just a game that got away from them from the first quarter. Harry Sheezel again, just dying for the club, dying for the club. One behind, 34 disposals. Riley Bice, Miami Bice, unbelievable. 26 disposals, 85% time on ground. This is a guy that was priced at 280K on AFL Fantasy. People that pounced on him would be laughing all the way to the bank. I mean, that's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Jake Lloyd, 114 AFL Fantasy. Sydney Swans player Luke Parker, 113 AFL Fantasy. 2 goals. Just try to lead from the front and set the example, along with LDU and Tom Powell. Caleb Daniel had an okay game, made some sort of silly errors, and dropped a couple of easy marks. Jai Simkin had a scary moment, I think, at the fourth quarter, where it looked like he hyperextended his knee. But yeah, he went off and then quickly came back on. So luckily that was okay for him. No serious damage there. Matty Roberts was a little bit quiet, and I suspect Matty Roberts was a little bit quiet because of Miami Bice, just absolutely racking up the pill. Like his precision kicking and intercept marking was absolutely his forte. Um, the other night, unbelievable to see that from him. Other noticeable mentions: Griffin Logue did okay, 13 touches, 64 AFL fantasy. He was injured, I think, last week, but then yeah, came back and put down a semi-solid score. But overall, it was just a waste opportunity for North. Home ground, they got gather round next week, and they just pissed this away. And I know it's against Sydney, who are serious contenders yet again this season, but it's just a silly throwaway sort of performance, unfortunately. And it was just an awful watch, to be honest. There was just some silly missed handballs and stuff like that. This game was no better. Giants training drill, basically. Lockie Whitfield, 139. Darcy Jones, 123. Toby Green, 123. Tom Green, 121. Jesse Hogan, 9 goals on new recruit Sandy Brock, the nephew of great Peter Brock, the Holden driver in the Viet Supercars. He'd be having PTSD right now. It's that bad. And, it just really, like, he did some great spoils and stuff, don't get me wrong, but to put him on a Coleman medalist, that is, oh my God, trial by fire. Like, absolutely. Like, putting him in the deep end with no floaties. Like, fuck. Unbelievable. Liam Baker, 86 AFL fantasy. He is captain material. He leads from the front. He genuinely cares for a club that he's not even played a whole full season for yet. Donning the number 3, Chris Judd's old number, or Andrew Gaff's old number. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable stuff. I mean, it's great that we've got him, and I'm really proud that we've got someone like Liam Baker and the caliber of Liam Baker at our club. But overall, you've got Liam Duggan, and then it's Ryan Marrick, who was a mid-season pick a couple of years back. So It's pretty dire. It's pretty dire. And then you got to see all these GWS players just having an absolute field day. It's unbelievable. Darcy Jones, like he's a WA product. Jesse Hogan's a WA product. Who's another WA boy here? Um, Cadman. No, he's not WA. Sam Taylor, WA product. So yeah, there's a lot of great WA players that have been playing in this GWS side. I think for me, from what I've actually witnessed, I think drop Noah Long, Tyler Brockman drop him, Tom Cole drop him, Kelly drop him, Matty Owies is on the fringe as well. Like, there's a lot of players there. Archer Reed's a better forward than Oscar Allen. Just get rid of them. Like that's my honest take on it. Sandy Brock, 12 touches, not a bad debut by any chance. Like he just came up against a Coleman medalist. Tom Gross, 1 goal, 17 touches, not a bad effort as well. Like this kid was in under 18s All Australian, pick 47, 46. I can't remember, something high like that. We got him an absolute steal. You know what I mean? Harley Reid, 25 touches, was floating off half back. I think it's great for his development. It's someone like Harry Sheasel played off half back as well. Like, I think that's great for his development. Just gets a bit more of the peel. And yeah, it's just better all round. Ryan Marrick as well. Like he's gonna blossom. He's got really good game sense and good kicking as well. So look, I don't want to drag on too much, but yeah, I think that's what I'd be wanting going into next round. Port Adelaide versus St Kilda. This one for me was, yeah, it was a game where I didn't really expect much from Port, to be honest. I was actually hoping that St Kilda would win, and they did. I was hoping for this guy here, Jason Francis, to bounce back, but with 3 goals, 28 disposals, 13 kicks, 86% time on ground, that's phenomenal. Bergman has that half-back role, that Dan Houston sort of left a vacant, and I think he's really slotted into that role perfectly. And this game basically just amplifies that. 26 disposals, 84% time on ground, 113 AFL fantasy. Mitch Georgiades is back from that knee injury. He's doing really well. 3 goals, 2. Zach Butters just doing what he does, just chops it up. Like whether he stays at Port this year, next year, I'm not sure. But, great to have Zach Butters back and to help out Rosie a little bit there is, good to see. Nasai Wanganeen Miller, 1 goal, 25 touches. Great to see him racking up the pill as well as Jack Sinclair. Just the normal standout players. Jack McRae wasn't quiet as well, one behind, 28 disposals. Just, doing what he does, just chips away. Joe Richards, the ex-Magpie, 72 AFL fantasy points. Ron Marshall, 75 AFL fantasy with 86% time on ground. Not great numbers that he was used to last year, but you got to understand his body's trying to get back from that pelvic sort of fracture that he had late last season. That sort of troubled him over the off season as well. Jordan Sweet, I'm glad I trade out of him. 71, not setting the world on fire. There was a bit of a melee in the first quarter, a bit of fighting going on, a bit of action there. But I think overall the Saints would be happy to just put that one to bed, especially in Adelaide. And then, yeah, as Jack Higgins says, they've got to stay in Adelaide now. He doesn't know what he's going to do for this week there. He doesn't like Adelaide. That was really interesting post-game interview. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens at Gather Round there. And then finally, the last game of the round, Fremantle and Western Bulldogs. This one I watched, I think in the last 2 quarters, I want to say. Luke Jackson in the last quarter went down with a hamstring, so he didn't play that last quarter, unfortunately, but Sam Darcy, 5 goals straight, just an absolute sharpshooter, fantastic forward, just clunks every mark, goes back, kicks it with absolute assurity and confidence, and I love it. Caleb Sarong, 121 AFL fantasy, 38 disposals, probably the best on ground. Another best on ground performance from Caleb. And Andrew Brayshaw wasn't too far behind, 1 goal, 29 disposals. Tim English just chopping it up in the ruck as Luke Jackson was out in that last quarter. 114 AFL fantasy. Luke Ryan was taking probably most of the kickouts in the second half. First half was Jordan Clark, but yeah, he did all right there. James Harms, 103 and a goal of a year on the boundary in the third quarter, late in the third quarter. Was absolutely fantastic to see. Josh Tracy, the big kahuna, 3 goals, 2, not a bad effort from him. Tom Liberatore chopping it up in the middle again, 30 disposals. And Matt Kennedy and Riley Sanders did quite well as well, 26 and 20 disposals. Bailey Dale was okay, didn't set the world on fire, and Jordan Clark both on the same sort of disposals there. And then Michael Frederick did all right, kicked 3 snags and 1 behind. And then for 3 quarters, Luke Jackson amassed 74 AFL fantasy, 1 goal and 16 disposals. And how many hitouts? 30. So not quite as much as Tim, who got 10 more, but overall, not a bad effort. And Shea Bolton nearly nearly marked the mark of the year in the second quarter or the third quarter, I can't remember. But then, yeah, kicked 2 goals, one. So not a bad effort there. But overall, I think it was a pretty good effort by the Freo Dockers to win over Western Bulldogs. And then, yeah, you got Hawks and Essendon that had the bye. But overall, what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like, subscribe. What was your favorite game of this of the round? What's your takeaways? My takeaway was that the Demons have run out of puff. They've literally run out of puff. I think they're going to be having a mass exodus at the end of this year. I think Simon Goodwin's position is in trouble, and I seriously mean that, just because of what's happened with off-field incidents. Joel Smith, Clayton Oliver, the drugs scandal, bit of betting scandal as well. I think the way they handle Christian Petracca's alarm bells. I just think there's a lot of fractures in that club, and I think it's all going to come to the surface this year and going into next year as well. And I think there's going to be a changing of the guard, and I think Simon Goodwin's going to have to stand down somewhere through this year. I think he will. And the other point I want to make is the Eagles are still trying to find their way. They're still trying to find out what works for them, what formula, and they're playing the youth, which is good to see. That is one positive. Um, and then yeah, Port Adelaide's North has taken a massive step back. I don't really see what direction they've got, and I think they've got a lot of frustrated players that were probably in denial. They're in denial of where they're actually at, and I think that's the problem with North. You can't have growth if you're in denial. And Port Adelaide, 72, they lost to Saints. I think they are just waiting for Ken to step back and let Carr take over. Is it Josh Carr? Matt Carr, Josh Carr, to take over and start a new era. I think that's how I see it. So what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.